Incident Report 4,201,008. The cafeteria situation. The Shackleton Base Operations Log has, over the course of its existence, documented dinosaur invasions, unauthorized ballistic hydration events, and a crack-related systems assessment submitted voluntarily to the medical office in 11 formally structured pages. The archivists believed, by 2068, that they had developed adequate frameworks for most categories of incident. They had not anticipated this one. Entry 4,201,008 begins. At approximately 12:15, a situation developed in the Hub 3 cafeteria involving 3 individuals with significant records of property destruction on their respective home planets, one of whom was holding a glass of milk. If you are new here, subscribe. The milk becomes relevant. Why Homelander was on the moon in the spring of 2068. Vought International Space Division, a subsidiary established 18 months earlier with a logo, but, at that point, no actual spacecraft. Negotiated a partnership with the Shackleton Base PR Coordination Office to produce what the press materials described as a historic celebration of humanity's heroic spirit. Filmed on location at humanity's most ambitious settlement. What this meant in practice was that Homelander arrived on a chartered transit vessel with a camera crew of 9, a personal stylist, 48 individually labeled servings of whole milk in a specialized refrigeration unit that took up the cargo space of approximately 600 kilograms of medical supplies, and a written itinerary that used the phrase, Homelander-style heroism, 7 times. The base accepted this arrangement because Vaught's legal team had sent a document that was technically a request but read structurally as something else, and because Director Chen, reading it at her desk, made a calculation about which kind of problem she preferred to have. Homelander stepped through the airlock in full costume. He smiled the smile that focus groups had rated 9.2 out of 10. He looked at the amber sky through the Hub 3 observation window and said, loudly, "For the cameras, this is what we protect." Nobody had asked him to protect the moon specifically. The cameras rolled anyway. He had been on the base for 11 hours when the cafeteria situation occurred. The approach Trinity was eating lunch. This is the complete context. She was in the Hub 3 cafeteria, which was on day 4 of the 14-day rotation pasta day, which most residents regarded as one of the better days, and she was eating and reading a technical document and not doing anything that could reasonably be interpreted as an invitation to conversation. Homelander sat down across from her without asking. He had his milk. He set it on the table with the deliberate placement of a man who considers everything he does cinematic. Trinity looked up. She looked at him. She looked back at her document. "You know," said Homelander, deploying the voice that had tested at 8.7 for warmth and 9.1 for authority. "Most people are a little more aware of who you are," said Trinity, without looking up. "I've been briefed." A pause. The voice recalibrated. "Then you know I know," she said, "that you are here for 72 hours. And that the filming schedule has you in the agricultural hub at 14:00. She turned a page. It's 12:17. Homelander had not, in recent memory, been redirected to a filming schedule by someone eating pasta. His smile, which had briefly become slightly fixed, reasserted itself at 9.2. "I have a flexible schedule," he said. "I don't," said Trinity. What happened in the next 4 minutes is documented through the cafeteria's ambient monitoring system. The personal account of 3 base residents who were also eating lunch and who subsequently gave statements with the careful neutrality of people who had decided they were going to describe facts and exclusively facts, and a partially captured camera feed from Vaught's crew, which was filming from the doorway, and which the subsequent legal settlement required to be partially edited before release. The summary is, Homelander escalated. He escalated through charm, then through the specific register he used when charm wasn't working, which was a lower version of the same voice with different eyes. He mentioned his heat vision twice, which he framed as interesting personal trivia and which landed in the cafeteria the way it always landed when he mentioned it in enclosed spaces with no clear exit. Trinity set down her fork. She looked at him with the complete and hurried attention of someone who has stared down a sentinel machine at close range and found the experience educational rather than frightening. The heat vision, she said, is noted. She picked her fork back up. Homelander opened his mouth. Hey, it came from behind him. One word, quiet, with no particular inflection. The cafeteria went very still in the way that cafeterias go still when something is about to happen, and everyone present has simultaneously decided to become furniture. Neo was standing in the doorway with a tray. The official incident report describes what followed as a period of heightened interpersonal tension lasting approximately 6 minutes. This is accurate the way a weather report is accurate, technically correct, and completely inadequate to the experience of being there. Neo set his tray on the nearest table without looking at it. He looked at Homelander. Homelander looked at him. There is a specific quality to a standoff between two people who are both aware, and aware that the other is aware, that the room they are standing in would not survive a serious disagreement between them. The cafeteria achieved this quality in approximately 4 seconds. Homelander's eyes did the thing they do before the heat vision activates. A faint red at the edges, a suggestion of temperature. Neo tilted his head by approximately 3 degrees. Homelander's camera crew, watching from the doorway, began a quiet discussion about whether they were still filming and what their contractual obligations were in the specific scenario. Trinity had not moved. She was watching with the expression of someone who has already calculated 3 outcomes and is waiting to see which one the universe selects. What she said, very quietly, into the silence, "Don't." It was not entirely clear which of them she was talking to. Possibly both. Homelander's eyes had reached a visible red. Neo had not blinked. The ambient temperature in the cafeteria had risen by 2 degrees, which the environmental monitoring system logged as an anomaly and flagged for maintenance review. The cafeteria door opened again. Superman, he was also part of the Vought initiative. This had not been widely advertised because his relationship with Vought was, at that point in his personal history, a matter of ongoing and complex renegotiation, but he had agreed to appear as part of a Heroes United segment that the PR materials described with considerable optimism. He had been in the Hub 2 gymnasium. He had heard, with his particular hearing, that something was happening in the cafeteria. He had walked over. He looked at the scene. He assessed it with the specific attentiveness of someone who has spent a significant portion of their life arriving at situations that had almost become something irreversible. "Hey," he said. His voice was different from Neo's single hey. Where Neo's had been quiet in the way that still water is quiet, Superman's was warm and direct, and had the quality of someone who genuinely wanted everyone in the room to be okay, and was prepared to work toward that. Homelander turned. Something complicated moved across his face, the specific complication that occurred whenever Superman appeared, which was a mixture of things that Homelander's PR team had spent considerable resources managing and which showed up anyway in the eyes, briefly, before the 9.2 smile reasserted control. "Clark," he said. "John," said Superman, which was not Homelander's name but which Superman always said anyway, in a way that somehow never became a confrontation. He looked at Neo. "Hey." He looked at Trinity. "Hi. Sorry about," a gesture, indicating the general situation. "This." Trinity considered him for a moment. "You're apologizing for him?" "Somebody should," said Superman. He said it without judgment, factually, the way you state the boiling point of water. Homelander made a sound. Superman turned to him with the full warm attention of someone who had decided, a long time ago, that the move was always to try. "You hungry?" he said. "I heard it's pasta day." A pause. "I know it's not," Homelander started. "There's also garlic bread today," said Superman. "I saw it when I came in. It looked pretty good." The cafeteria was completely silent. Homelander looked at Superman. Superman looked at Homelander with the steady, patient expression of someone waiting for a person to remember that they have a choice. Homelander picked up his milk. He sat down 2 tables away. He did not look at Trinity again. He did not look at Neo. He drank his milk and stared at the middle distance and the cameras, which had crept back into the doorway, captured 11 seconds of this that Vought would later describe as a contemplative moment in the final cut. Neo picked up his tray. He sat down across from Trinity. Trinity looked at him. "You were going to do something stupid," she said. "I know," said Neo. Superman got a plate of pasta and garlic bread and sat at a table near the window. He looked out at the amber sky for a moment. Then he ate his lunch. The aftermath. The incident report was filed at 16 o'clock by Hub 3 Section Supervisor D. Marchetti, who had been present for the cafeteria situation and who had the look, for the remainder of the day, of someone who was going to need some time. The report is 4 pages long. It describes the sequence of events with precision and without editorial comment, which, given the events described, required, in the supervisor's later estimation, the most sustained professional discipline of her career. The final paragraph reads, "No physical altercation occurred. No property was damaged. The ambient temperature anomaly resolved without intervention. All parties completed their lunch. The garlic bread was, by multiple accounts, above average." The VOT camera crew released a 4-minute highlight reel of the base visit. It features Homelander looking out the observation window, Superman talking to some of the agricultural team about the tomatoes, and a shot of the amber sky that the editors used twice, because it looked good. The cafeteria segment does not appear. Neo and Trinity left the base the following week. Their departure is logged in the manifest without comment. Homelander left a day early. His reason for early departure is listed as scheduling conflict. The base did not follow up. Superman stayed an extra day. He helped Dr. Ferreira with the planting rotation problem she had been working on. He was, by her account, genuinely useful and asked good questions and thanked her at the end in a way that she described, in a note appended to the agricultural log, as like he actually meant it, which he did, which was strange to encounter. He also fixed the hub to Jim's resistance calibration, which had been off since 2066, in about 20 minutes, without being asked. The maintenance log records this as resolved, no ticket. Method unknown. Some people just fix things. Subscribe for the next one. WHAT. The records show the archived camera footage from the VOT crew runs to 14 hours and 22 minutes. Of this, 4 minutes and 11 seconds were released publicly. The remainder was retained by VOT's legal team under a clause in the production agreement that Director Chen, reading it at the time, noted with the tired recognition of someone who had anticipated this exact outcome. The 4 base residents who were eating pasta in the cafeteria during the incident gave statements to the operations office. All 4 statements used the phrase, "I was focused on my food," in the first sentence. All 4 then proceed to describe the event in considerable detail. Dr. Priya Anand, who was not present but heard about it within the hour, submitted an unsolicited written commentary to the base archive. It is 1 page long. It contains the line, "I have lived on this base for 17 years and have witnessed, among other things, a dinosaur eat our server room and a man attempt a ballistic hydration event aimed at the Pacific Ocean. I want it on the record that this is the incident I find most plausible. This concerns me somewhat about my calibration." The archive accepted the commentary without response. Kevin the dinosaur was observed, at 14:30 on the day of the cafeteria incident, standing near the Hub 3 observation window for approximately 40 minutes. This was logged as routine by this point. The section supervisor noted, in a handwritten margin addition to the daily log, that Kevin appeared to be looking specifically at the cafeteria level. This may have been coincidence. The base does not have a formal policy on whether Kevin can sense tension through reinforced pressurized glass. The question has not previously come up. It has now been flagged for the next infrastructure review.